Alright, well, feel free to continue the Jewels of the Oracle series download. I think we should get started here rather than just sitting on the title screen forever. But I am definitely interested in more information about Jewels of the Oracle, damn. Alright, so instead of just jumping straight into whatever the next fiasco is here in the Secluded Garden, I think maybe we'll spend a little bit of time doing some easier puzzles in other areas for like a hot second. Why is this lit up? That's interesting. Are they all lit up like that? This one isn't. This one is. This one is. Is it because there's still more to do? Maybe. Unclear. It's not even silvered yet. Maybe that's why it's lit up? That's possible. There was an actual Jewels of the Oracle too? Okay. After Dreamcatcher Interactive took over and the game wasn't quite as good. That's a shame. That is always a shame. All right. Where are we gonna go while we're sitting around waiting for something to happen? Want to play over here? Inequality? Yeah, let's play with Inequality for a little bit, and then we'll go back to Secluded Garden. Never got very far in Karma. Okay. Windows 95 era coding. That does seem like a problem. Alright, range 2 to 5. So this has to be at least 2. And because it's bigger than something, it has to be at least 3. And there's this chain of like 1, 2, 3, 4, right? So this is like 5, 4, 3, 2 has to be. So this has to be exactly 3. This has to be, these have to be separate. This has to be a 5. I should write this down. This has to be a 5. This has to be a 4. This has to be a 2. So this being a 2 is like this. This being a 4 is like that minimum. This has to be... This can't be a 2, so this has to be part of the 4. And now this has to be 3, 2. And this has to be the 5, so this goes to here. This is a 2 here. This is also a 2. This has to come out to here. So we have a 2 here, and this has to be a 5, and then we can do this. Great. Inequality is pretty smooth. I like the processes for Inequality, right? 3 to 5, so only 3 options. So 5, 4, 3, 5, 4, 3. This is plus, this is minus, this is plus, this is minus, this is plus, this is minus. Was set in caves at a real place called Dunhuang, which was famous for having a ton of Buddhist manuscripts. In Karma, you're brought in by a traditional Chinese goddess of healing called Guanyin to stop the escape of a demon sealed within that causes plague. Oh yeah, standard. Basically Jewels of the Oracle, but Buddhist themed. Okay, sure. Right, this is separate. This is separate. So this has to go here. So this is a 4 and this is a 3. That's 5. That's a wall. So this has to go to here. 4 to there. This has to be a 3. This has to be 4 or 3. And this has to be at least a 4. But maybe a 5. Can't be a 5, because then this can't. Nope, this could go here, and then this could be a 5, and this could be a 4. Nice. Yeah, not only is that, like, exactly Jewels of the Oracle, that is also, like, a very standard kind of, Chinese mythology sort of storyline, so that works out pretty well. That's pretty good. Now we're bringing in some other stuff. So this is a 4. That's great. So this is at least a 5, whatever this is. These two are the same. These two are the same. This is big. But things could still be 1s. Well, this can't be a 1. Whatever this is, it's the same as this. Can this be a 1? No, because then this would have to be a 1, and this has to be bigger than a 4. So this can't be a 1 either. And whatever this is has to be bigger than a 4. So this has to be bigger than a 4. So this has to be bigger than whatever this is, which is maybe a 5. So this has to be separate. 4. And this has to be the same shape, in addition to being the same size. So now that's the rest of the puzzle, actually, right? Whatever this is, and then whatever this is, and if that's like 5, 5, 6, 6, that's possible. Hang on, we're gonna check something out here. 26. 5, 5, 6, 6 would be 22. So that's 6, 6, 7, 7. Yep. That works. Oh, it still could be 5, 5, 6, 6, and then other stuff, right? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Does that work? No, there's not enough room here. I mean, there is if I do that. So I'd have to do that, and then this and this. Right? Why does that not work? Oh, this needs to be the other side. Cool, 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 cool. Hey, Chronometrics, how's it going? Journey to the West style narrative, only with puzzles and no Monkey King. Seems fine. Alright, it's enough of a warm-up. Let's jump into the ridiculous stuff. Everything's fine. It's just a lot of symbols to look at all at once, you know? This has to be a 4 then. This has to be neither the 3 nor the 4. So this is either a 6 or an 8, which is that. Which means this has to be a 3 exactly. Which means this has to be a 3 exactly. Which means this has to be a 3 or a 4. I think it has to be a 3 because it can't go into this space. Which means something has to take this, so that's this. And then this has to be an 8, which is like that. Great. Good start. Good start. Pay the down payment on your new condo today. Yo, that feels like a pretty big investment. Congratulations. That's a big deal. That's very cool. This could be a 3 going up or going right. This is interesting, though. If it goes right, then we have to do this again. That's a problem, because this can't fill in now. So this has got to be a 3 going up. This is interesting. It has to be at least a 3. This is also interesting. I think this has to be the 6 here. Because if this is a 6 this way, this can't reach any circle. And if this is like a 3 in either way, then nothing can reach. It has to be like this. And then this can be a 4. Vancouver is one of the most expensive cities to buy into. I believe that. I don't know where it falls on the range of, like, the American cities that I am used to that are very expensive. But I would believe that Vancouver is very expensive. It's a pretty trendy place to live. For the first time in your life, you will not be living in a basement. Congratulations! That's a big step. That's a big deal. Where are we going here? Gotta love the PNW, except when you gotta pay for it. Having to pay for things is the worst. Capitalism is a blight on this earth. What else are we doing here? I don't want to start devolving into vibe solving, because I think there is still more logical things I can do. But part of me wants to start just drawing shapes. Slightly more than San Francisco, slightly less than Singapore. Damn. Slightly more than San Francisco has me shook. San Francisco is real pricey. One of the nice things about Costa Rica? Yeah, I bet. I bet there's a lot of, like, really, really nice places in South America to live that are just not that pricey because they just have not embraced capitalism in the same way that we have in in North America. Bought a penthouse condo. Right on. Congratulations. Central. Okay, sure. Yeah. I don't know geometry, man. Geometry? Geography, probably. I live in the United States. I have an excuse. There's going to be a guest room, so if you're in the area, you're welcome to crash. Oh, thank you. I'll endeavor to be in Vancouver at some point in my life. I've been in Vancouver once. I was going on a cruise. We went to Alaska. It was very pretty. I caught COVID. That was less good. But overall, it was a good experience. What are we doing here? I do need to come to Costa Rica. I still plan on it. Like, it's still a thing that's like, oh yeah, I should go do that. Like, I want to, but just have not gotten off of my ass to actually deal with the logistics and plan it. Definitely something that is on my list. There's symmetry on this side compared to this side, but these two shapes are different. So now I'm stuck in this area of, like, I had a bunch of stuff that was very specific, and now it's like there's a bunch of things that are sort of more different ways that I can do things here. This does still have to be a part of this, because there's nothing else that it can reach. But is it a 3 or is it a 6? Can this be a part of any other region? No. It's still a 6. Well, that's something. That, at least, is something. This cannot be a part of any region other than that one. This could still be a part of this region, though. This can be here. Should time it for one of the big cons? 2 major cons each year, one around May 4th. That makes sense. Yeah. I have heard of Star Wars. The other in September, October. Okay. Okay. This is interesting. I think this has to be here. Which means this has to be not a 4. Which, okay, I think we already knew that. In fact, this now has to be 2 6s. Okay. This is pretty good. That's a bit more closure. And now here, things are, again, a little bit more in flux. None of the rest of these are quite as easy. I guess this has to be a part of this. Unsure whether it is a 3, a 6, a 4, or an 8. Like, this could be literally any of the things. This has to be part of this, though. Which is interesting. So this has to be a 4. And it can't go down, so it has to go this way. Alright, that's pretty set. Oh. Okay, so those are the same that way. And this has to be... Alright, so this area has to be 2 4s then. That is at least a 3, maybe a 4. The easiest way, I think, to do this region now is this could be a 3, this could be the 6, this could be the 4. Because this can't... this actually can't reach up, it has to go left. Which means this has to be a 3. Yeah, so this has to do exactly that thing. And then this has to be this, and this has to be this. I'm not sure about that one yet, actually. This might be a 4. Could go a variety of different ways. This can't be the 3. This has to be a 4? That's interesting. And this cannot be a 4. So this has to be a 4 touching this. Which means this has to go that way, and then this has to be the 6. And then this has to be a 3 instead. And then this is a separate 3. And then we have this is a 4, this is a 4, this is a 6. Got it. Got it. I've grown over the course of my journey. Thank you. Well, it turns out the vibe was wrong. So it's a good thing I didn't just start drawing shapes, because they would have been the wrong shapes. But also, this puzzle started with things that had to be true, so then I could continue that chain of things that had to be true. Like, it felt good to continue it in the way that I started it. Worked out pretty cleanly. Oh, God. And meanwhile, there can only be vibes on this puzzle. That's not true. There's probably ways to start this. All the puzzles must start with things that have to be true. No. They could start with things that might be true. And then you figure out whether or not they're true over the course of drawing a bunch of shapes on the puzzle. This spot is interesting. Because I think it can't be part of either of these two shapes. Like, I can't do that. I can't do that or that because of the way this is closed off. Definitely can't do that. So it has to be this. And then what do I do with this? Is this possible? I don't think this is possible either. So maybe I can do that? That's doable. That looks legal. And then this has to be a plus. For this to be a 2 here, there's nowhere else for the Z to go. And the plus can't fit here. So this has to be like that. Can't go up, has to go down. This is a problem, though. So this can't do that thing either. It could do this, though. That'll work. And then we can continue chaining the whatever. And then this has to be another one of those. And then this is interesting because it can be one of these and it could also be one of these. No, it can't be one of these. I don't think anything fits in here that'll fill this space. All right. You've convinced me. This could be this or this. Either of those is possible. Is this broken? Is this broken and incorrect and a problem? I do believe it is all of those things. So we're looking at this. And then either this or this. Both of which actually seem like they will work out. Because this lets me plus here, and this lets me T, and this is failure. So maybe instead it's this. And then I could do that. And then this, I'm not sure exactly how to deal with this space. This might also be wrong. Maybe it's something like that? Yeah, that feels like it works. Yo, Mark Mages, thank you so much for the raid. How you doing, man? Hey, Tails, hello. What were you up to today? I am vibe solving with Shape Bank. Raiders of the Lost Mark. Oh, you're on point today, Senna. Blueprints today? Excellent. Are you further than me yet? Have you done the thing? The one thing that I haven't done? What are we doing here? This now has to be either this or that. There's a lot of options here. Listen, I don't know how to do this with logic, all right? I just go with what feels right until it's proven wrong. Hey, Dalek. Welcome as well. Look at all them raiders. All right, well, I guess I should go through my spiel, even though I feel like most of the people that are going to come over from Mark's stream know who I am. But welcome, Mark Magus and Mark Magus' community. I am Jim the Eternal. I play variety games, sometimes logic games, and sometimes I play those poorly. But what we're doing right now is putting shapes on the board and seeing if it works. Like tangrams writ large. Working assumptions that you're still behind wherever I stop playing, but I guess you don't know. Sure, that's fair. Does this work? No, that doesn't work. Does this work? Maybe. Drawing owls. It's true. I guess if I do this, then it has to be this. All right, yeah. Let's just do that then. That all looks great. Oh, this is not gonna work. This is interesting, the 3 here. I guess that's like this, and then... Can you do that? The 3 here? How does the 3 work? So few level 6 puzzles in Glimmith that you don't want me to... That's totally fair. That's totally fair. Well, good to see you, Tails. Thanks for stopping by. Hanabi group has common ancestor to H group. Oh, you're actually running a doc on your conventions. That would be pretty cool. How do I deal with this 3 in the corner? Because I can't put any of them directly in. It feels like I want to do this, but then I don't know what to do with this. I mean, I guess I do that. And that works fine. And then this is a plus. No. And then something has gone terribly wrong. Ah, I figured it out. Nothing has gone terribly wrong. Everything's fine. We need a Hanabi family tree. That would be great. I would actually be really interested to see sort of the progression of convention groups in Hanabi, and especially how they connect to one another and like what kind of DNA they share. I think that would be super interesting. Oh boy. Mingle shape. Okay, so this has to be this and this. That is required. Here's a doc for people in this specific popular group we're likely to overlap with. Seems potentially useful. Yeah, absolutely. Like, I am interested in the more general document, but I could totally see the more specific document being very helpful under the circumstances that you're discussing. This now cannot be either of these two, so it has to be that. This has to be a 2. Oh, and it can't go down, so it has to do that. So this has to be a 1. So this has to be a 2. This has to be a 1. This has to be a 2. This has to be the 4. Great. What time zone are you in, Tails? You are in a very strange place relative to me and Mark Magus. This has to be a 4 also. So this has to be a 1. This is interesting here. I think it has to be... It doesn't have to be, but I think it has to be. Only reason you have a password is because you don't want a random join H group to stumble in. That's interesting. How do you feel about people who are not familiar with any of the conventions? This is the same kind of setup here and here. Interesting. I wonder what I do with that. Sweden. Okay, okay. Explicitly pro teaching new players. Sure, sure. My deal is I have watched enough Hanabi that I've probably picked up some conventions, but I don't think I've played enough Hanabi to have internalized any of them. So I have some ideas as to how the game should be played, and I don't know how that lines up to any explicit set of conventions. All right, how does this work? This can be a 1 or a 4. If it's a 1, it breaks, so it has to be a 4. So this has to be a 4. So this has to be a 2. This now has to be a 2. And if it goes up, it breaks, so it has to be a 2 this way. Does this just chain, like, another 2 and a 4, and then a 2 and a 1? I mean, that works. Because this can tile this configuration. As long as there's not anything else interfering with it. Which, like, very well could be interfering with it, but... Can this be a 1? No, this would need to be a 4. Can this be a 2? If it goes this way, we would need a 1 and then something else, so no. It could be a 2 this way, which is the only way that is legal. So now this has to be a 1, and this has to be a 4, and this has to be a 2, going in some direction. If it goes this way, 1, 2... Okay, if it goes down, 1... 2. Oh, both of those work. All of those work! Distressing. Everything appears to be okay in this situation. Alright, if it goes this way, this now needs to be a 1. This needs to be a 2. This needs to be a 4. That's all fine. This needs to be a 1 now. This needs to be a 2. Can't be that way. Has to be this way. This needs to be a 4, and that doesn't work. Okay, so then this has to go down. This is a 1. This is a 2. This is a 4. So this is a 1. So this is a 2. This is a 1. This is a 1. This is a 2. This is also a 2. Perfect. One of your group's initial principles was you should be able to state a very small number of axioms, conventions, and things should follow from them. Not sure how well you hew to that, but trying not to make people read Gorin on Bridge. What is Gorin on Bridge? I don't think I've heard of whatever that is. That's neat, though. Like, that seems like a decent philosophy. Without knowing what Gorin on Bridge is, I feel like that seems like a decent philosophy for teaching new people. Gorin on Bridge was a quest from Ocarina of Time? Oh, I don't mind you carrying the conversation forward. I like having conversations going on in my chat regardless about what they're about. Whether or not I'm involved. Hanabi at least is a subject that interests me. People can chat about whatever they want. I suppose it could be Goron on Bridge. And then it could be a quest from Ocarina of Time. Maybe it's in the remake. It was the first V book. If I ever don't understand you, it was probably a pun. Yes, this is a thing that you have made clear. Bricky, Precision 5, and Rose windows. All right, let's draw some walls. Precision 5, eh? This is fascinating. These have to connect here because Bricky. This has to come out. This has to come out. This has to come out. This is real interesting. Is there any other place where, like, the walls connect in this way so I can just immediately start drawing things? This is actually okay, surprisingly. These two have to belong to different regions. So this has to come out that way. This can't be a part of this because then it can't reach a circle. What else can we do from here? This needs, at minimum, that. We could probably do kind of the same thing here. And it feels like Bricky is going to be where all of this sort of, where we figure out the rest of this. That has to happen there. This can't go up. And for this to grab a circle at all, it needs to be exactly that one. Interesting. Yeah, Hanabi's a lot of fun. I have played some amount of Hanabi, mostly on paper. I haven't played a whole lot of Hanabi online, although I have seen plenty of people streaming Hanabi online. I had a partner with whom we played a lot of 2-player Hanabi. So that's probably the majority of my experience. And 2-player Hanabi definitely teaches you some weird habits compared to 4 or 5-player. any one of these could take all 4 of these bottom slots, so it's hard to say that this needs to go up or this needs to go up or whatever. This needs to come out this way, but there's 2 directions for it to go. This has to be a wall now. Is this taking this one? Maybe. This space needs to grab a circle somehow. And it can't grab this one. So it needs to grab one of these 2. And it can't be a part of this region. Yeah, it can't reach this one. So it needs to come out to here at minimum. Maybe it grabs this, or maybe it comes all the way down here and grabs this. Very different 6 from the last 6. I think the one that I just did with the shape bank was like a 6.2, and this is like a 6.6 or a 6.8. Logician and Piano Block I haven't heard of. All of the rest of those are people that I have either heard of or watched previously. Yeah, Automod was unhappy with that for some reason. I'm not sure why Automod was unhappy with it. It might have been because it was like promotional something or other people streaming on Twitch. I don't know. I'm not sure. Automod is weird sometimes. All right. So now that we have this information, this could grab as deeply as that. No, it can't. As deeply as that, which means this has to be separate from this group. So this is coming out here and needs to grab 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4, 5, 3, 4. There's a lot of direction that this could go. It could be a part of this or that or something else. Logician is an offline friend of yours who plays with your group and sometimes streams his perspective. Okay. And then there is Bricky. So what does Bricky mean for me in any of these situations? Can't be a point where 4 borders meet. There's not going to be a lot of points where 4 borders meet here. There's some good online clients for it, Senna. I think Hanab.live is one of them. And trying to remember what the other one that I've been on. I don't know how many of them are still real at this point, actually, because I'm sure some of my information is out of date. Piano's intermittent. Started streaming in 2020. Done a couple of charity marathons. Okay. Cool. Yeah, I think anybody who has played more recently than me will have better information about what the online possibilities are for playing Hanabi. This spot. How does this spot grab a circle? It can grab any one of these circles. They're all exactly 5 away. There's a lot of freedom there. This has to be this, actually. Because it can't be this at this point, because that needs to grab this one. So the question is it left up or is it up left? Where do I go from here? This still needs space. Oh, I guess it could take all of this rather than going right. In fact, given the way this is covered, it needs to go left at least once. So this can't be a part of this. It either has to take all of this or come up this way. I guess we have to start dividing them up and figuring out which circle belongs to which of these extraneous groups. Because if they all have to be separate, they all need to grab circles in some way. Like, if this comes down here, this has to take this, 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 and then this has to take one of these two. Which all seems fine. Can this take this one? If this goes up here, then this goes here, this goes here, this goes here, this goes here. This now has to grab this, which is fine. All of that is fine. None of that is a problem. Grumble, grumble, grumble. All of that is sensible and unproblematic. Maybe we can start grabbing random squares and seeing which circles they can connect to again? Although I think I have mostly figured all of that out. Like, any given cell at this point has like 2, 3, 4 different circles that it can connect to. So there is nothing fixed about any of that. We figured out this connection, which is good. That means this has to expand either left or up, or both, I suppose. This is still interesting here. There's a lot of possibilities for these 3 circles, unfortunately. I hate possibilities. Maybe Bricky. Maybe Bricky teaches me something. Maybe at some point I learned something because of Bricky. Like, this cannot be bricked. But obviously it can't be bricked. That would leave you with a 1. These two, at least we know, are separate, so that's got to be a wall there. These two don't necessarily have to be separate. That's still not fixed. If that's a wall there, this comes out here. Can this take this spot? This still needs to grab one of these two. Then it can't go left. Can't go right. Can't go up. So this actually needs to grab this spot as well. And then go down, actually. It needs to grab exactly one of these and then go through here. That's helpful. That means that this needs to take this spot. Because where else is this going to go? Oh, no, unless this does that. But even if that does that, this still needs to come down. So this needs to come down here, which means it can't join up with this. Which means it does have to take exactly these. Which means that has to connect there. This has to go here. And we have learned quite a lot in the last 15 seconds. This now has to go here. This has to grab this, doesn't it? Which means this is grabbing this. Which means this is coming out to at least here. Oh, productive. This now needs exactly these two. And this cannot brick. Because there is a world where it goes like here and then here, but that is in fact illegal. So this has to go here, and then this goes here, in order to prevent bricking. Hey, bricky was useful. It happened. This cannot be a wall here because bricky, so that has to connect that way. Whether or not it connects down is unclear. Oh, that was good. That came together really cleanly. So how's this working out? This can come down here. Bricky is always useful. I mean, everything is always useful. That is how the puzzles are designed. But, like, some more useful than others. One of those puzzles where you solve the right side in your head long ago, but you can't keep all of it together at once. Yeah, sure. There could be red herrings? Not in these puzzles. That's not how these puzzles work. Wait, is that true? I think there was actually a shape bank puzzle where one of the shapes went completely unused. So I guess, yeah, there could be red herrings. The right side of this puzzle hasn't come together in a way that makes sense to me yet. Because there's a lot of possibilities. And what I have available hasn't ruled out anything else for me yet. I feel like there ought to be more that I can do here. There probably is more that I can do here, and I just haven't quite pieced together how the different pieces interact. I guess this has to be either part of here or part of here. Is that helpful? Not really. You've been told that even if you got it wrong, you should pretend you got it right in chat. That sounds correct. That sounds like the most appropriate way to save face here. What happens if we do this? If I do this, then this needs to connect here. This comes up here. This needs to come out here. Can't go up here. Saving face is crucial. I mean the world to you. That fits with the level of importance I feel like I should have to everybody in chat. That sounds correct. What does this mean to me? That means this has to come out here, which means this has to go here. Now this has to go there. This has to go here. Are we good? Is this good? This now can't brick here, so it has to connect, which means that can't go up. This has to go here. Two, three, four, 5 at minimum. this has to connect. So that grabs this, and then this is a thing. Cool. Great. Super good. All right, this came together cleanly, and I am glad that people in chat have inside jokes. Like, legitimately, for the record, this is not just like me being weirdly sarcastic at people for having a joke that I'm not familiar with. Not only am I glad that people in chat have inside jokes, I am also glad that I am being partially, at least, let in on the inside joke, because that's also good content. Like, I think a big part of me being glad that people have inside jokes is that I am aware that they are inside jokes and at least partially able to understand them, even if I am not fully inside of the joke. How many 7s are left here? How many puzzles are left here? Holy, 13? This looks like a lot less than 13, but maybe I'm wrong about how many puzzles this is. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Well, maybe it is 13. All your jokes are inside jokes because you don't leave the home. Okay. Noted. All right, I think I'm ready to jump into one of these 7s. Let's settle in for a good hour and a half of staring at a puzzle with little to no progress. Loopy. Well, we know what loopy means. Loopy means this. And now that we've done that, we have additional restrictions. You've solved it, I agree. You've got to find. I was gonna say this feels like a Ricochet Robots, like 30 flip. I'll figure it out at some point between now and when the timer runs out. There is probably a 30 or less. Actually, any solution that is less than 30 would also be a 30. You just have to move some other robots extraneously. 87 degrees out. Don't really want to walk behind a mower. That is fair. I wouldn't want to walk behind a mower in those circumstances either. Okay, so loopy is really interesting because that means that one of these two has to be pink. One of these two has to be pink. One or two of these 3 have to be pink. It does kind of look like a Ricochet Robots board too. Like, even aside from the Ricochet Robots joke, this does look like a Ricochet Robots board. Because this can't be 2 different things, right? So one of these 2 has to be pink. We have to have some pink in here as well. This one can't be pink. This one can't be pink either. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So pink cannot be here, or here, or here. And pink needs to grab one of these remaining 4 squares. You can't just say that, Cyber Benny. It has to rhyme. I will not be repeating it out loud for the record. Could do this. These areas here, is there a way for me to determine... Because there's 4 regions total here. How is that more family friendly? What are you talking about? Oh, no, no. Not in the slightest. Oh. This cannot be a third thing, and it can't be pink, so it has to be green. There we go. This is where we start. We're talking about finger paints? Yeah! We're talking about finger paints. I agree with that statement. So the walls mean that you can't... Right? Like, that's illegal. Does that mean that, like, I can't do that? I can if one of those is then that color. But I can't have 3 things meeting. And obviously, these are 2 things. So this has to be either 4 or 2. And 2 could be either that way or this way. And that holds true for every single one of these walls. You want ice cream? I kind of want ice cream. More than ice cream, I want milk tea, which is actually like a constant state of being for me. I think my love for desserts has mostly been taken over by my love for extremely sugary milk tea. Although tiramisu is still a banger, and I will not refuse a good tiramisu. This is all like really spread out. It's dessert you can drink. Absolutely is dessert you can drink. 100%. Do I add boba? Yes. Most of the time. I guess as long as the place has good boba. But like most places have good enough boba. Also, I am blessed to live in quite the melting pot of an area with a strong Asian community presence. So there are lots of good milk tea places very near to me. You had a delicious tiramisu cold brew. Really? I might have to know more about that. This might be something that I require additional information about. Is this like a specific product? Because how I would like to be involved in this. Do I just start, like, filling in all of the walls? That doesn't seem like it's gonna get me anywhere. Trying to intuit why it's called loopy. I'm not sure either, Mark Magus. I think it's because of this outside edge. Most of the time when loopy exists, it's because you have to draw a loop around the edge of the puzzle, and then you can solve the rest of the puzzle. Also, maybe there's some sort of, like, loopy versus bricky thing that's like loops and bricks are somehow like a known thing, made the like terminology related to these kinds of puzzles in a way that I could know if I were more in tune with the global puzzle solving and creating community. We either need to do this, or we need to do this. Expect loops to not have pointy bits. Fair. Was a flavor of the month at one of the kind of upscale coffee shops in Austin. All right. That sounds like it's a little bit harder for me to go and acquire some. That's too bad. I don't know where to go with this. I guess that's what makes it a 7, huh? Where is this going to collect its circle and or triangle? It has to go out through here or through here. And if it goes out through here, it has to go through this space, which it can't. So it has to go out through here, like that, at minimum. So this has to do that. This has to be something that is not this color. And if that is something else, then this has to be a completely different thing. Or these could be the same thing. That's now walled off. This could just be pink in here. An off-the-shelf product would make bank. I 100% am sure of that. I think that is very real. This now can't go there. Which is not to say that it can't go there. It would just have to do so under some extremely elaborate circumstances. Here we have a similar situation where this can go either down here or out here in order to grab whatever else it needs, a circle and a square. But either of these is possible. If it goes through here, it can't go up this way, but it doesn't have to go through that space. And if it goes through here, it can't go down through here. That's still fine. But it does have to go through... It doesn't have to go through this space. It can go like that and then out collecting things. This has a lot of possibilities. Too bad. Yeah, it can still go up this way if it needs to. It just can't go through that space if it does. And then this needs to go where? It can go anywhere. Are there any other shapes that are similarly or maybe differently limited? This... There are. I'm not surprised. The question is spotting them. The question is always spotting them. Does this need to come up through here? We've determined that it can't join up with pink unless it goes around this square. But it could still come down around this way. Oh. Oh. Really? Okay, so that needs to be separately bricked off. Which means this needs to come out and be a separate thing. Neat. Oh, that's helpful. And then that's a wall. And then this can't be a third thing, and it can't be orange, so it needs to be green. That's a wall. Loopy doing work. Loopy doing some amount of work. This also cannot be an extra thing. So either it needs to be green or it needs to be pink. This can't be green. Could be pink, I guess. Like, pink could go this way, and that could be pink square. Guess if the walls exist, then the thing must go out in the direction. This is a separate thing now. Progress. Yeah, mild amounts of progress. Little bits here and there. Eventually progress. This is not one of the puzzle types where I have a, the kind of immediate intuitive understanding that I do for other puzzle types. Especially with Loopy involved. Loopy makes everything harder. Loopy, Bricky, and Compasses are all like, oh, okay, well, I don't know what's going on anymore. The vibes, they are in shambles. Born to vibe, forced to think. Yep. Accurate. This can't be a third thing, and it can't be orange, so it must be green. This can't be a third thing, but it can be either orange or green. Green can, in theory, grab this triangle. Orange cannot at this point. Orange is going where? Up here? These two? This still needs a circle. Like, the way that makes most sense is grabbing this circle and this triangle. And then sending pink in to resolve all of the intermediate spaces. Born to be a silly little guy, forced to make an earnest effort and put yourself out there. God, wouldn't life be so much easier if you could just be a silly little guy? But no, everything is a commodity these days. Where else are we going from here? This needs to be either pink or green. Not a real reason for it to be one or the other. You can still be just a silly little guy? Nah, you have responsibilities. You can't just be a silly little guy. That requires, like, feudal nobility. Just buy your 8-step kit subscription. I feel like I would make a great, you know, Duke's third child or something like that. I feel like that is the niche in life that I was denied. Here, can this be a third thing? It can't, and it can't be pink, so it has to be green. Oh, right. Loopy means that with these squares, it has to go all the way around. No. It can still be like, it can still be bricked off. But once I have a 2, I have to take the third. Get sent to a monastery? Maybe. The life of trying to figure out how to assemble stained glass windows. Yo, it all comes full circle. I'm playing Noble Bastard Simulator over here. Can this be something else? No. Disaster. There's so many places where it's like, okay, I'm just gonna click and see if it can do something, because I don't fully understand how Loopy works still after all this time. Like, this can't be a third thing either, but it could be either of these two. This can't be a third thing, but it could be either of these two. This is going to need a circle and a triangle. Interesting. All right, I agree. Like, I know this can't be a third thing, so it's got to be one of these two. But I don't have a real sense of which one or why. Like, I guess it could do this. And then this would have to take that. Because we can't have, with these two, these both being a separate third thing. Oh, wait! These can't both be a different thing. I guess they could both be different, right? We could brick this off here, which would involve that, and then this being something else. But this can't connect. Or if it connects, it needs to be all this one. So that's still legal. All right, what else can I figure out based on these connections of things? Interesting. So if this is pink, I guess it would have to do that. Huh. Wait, so is this determinate then? If this is pink, this can't be pink. It could be dark. But then this would need to be green, which loops. If this is a separate thing, it can't be a separate thing. Can't be green, can't be pink, can't be dark. This is illegal. So the pink has to come up to here. And then this has to connect and be pink again. That can't connect. That can't connect. This needs to be a third thing. That can't be a third thing here, so it needs to be dark. So this is coming up here. Which means this needs to be this. And now this needs to escape through here. And take this triangle. Which means this triangle's only escape is through here, and needs to be part of this. So pink takes these. Progress. That feels good. And this can come out for more if it needs to, but doesn't necessarily need to intrinsically. Vaguely owl-inspiring? I think it's still pretty far away. I mean, I guess we have like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 separate regions here, which is concerning. Considering there are going to be 5 regions on this map. So this is going to have to connect back to one of these two. Six colors for the 5 regions. You're right, it's a little problematic, actually. This is going to actually need to connect to either this one or this one. I mean, it's still most likely that this grabs this square, right? But it could still connect to this. That is also possible. If done in an appropriate way. This needs to come up this way somehow. Or connect to this green. Undecided at the moment. These can't connect here. Unless it's this connecting. This cannot be a third thing. And cannot be pink because then this is sealed off. So the red has to come out that way. Oh, there was a wall there. Yeah, the red always has to come out that way. Here, likewise. But it cannot be a third thing. So this needs to be either pink or red. But now the red has multiple choices of directions to go. This needs exactly a triangle. And it can't be this one. I guess it can be that one. No, it can't be that one. Because that would seal off some stuff here, right? This has to kind of wind its way through some of these other shapes. So it needs either this triangle or this triangle. And it can't be this one, I don't think. So it needs to be exactly this one. These need to connect. In some way or another. And then this, I think, does need to take this. I believe that is required. So this needs to take that spot. Okay. The walls are pretty helpful. This needs to be something. Probably this? But it could also just be that. Oh, no, it couldn't. Yeah, because this can't be a third thing between these. So it needs to either be red or pink. Yeah, this just continues to extend past the confines of the rose symbols it needs. Because, well, loopy. Because loopy. Which means the only remaining circle for this to grab... Oh, no, is the outside one. This cannot be the outside one. So this needs this. These two need to be the same. Which means this does need to be connected to the outside. Which means this needs to be red. I guess this could be red. And then this could be pink. Yeah, this could loop this. Yeah, that could work, actually. This cannot go around this way, so must come up this way. So this is also going to be green. And it can't be through there. Right? Like, it can be up through there, but it can't be around this way. So it needs to connect that way. And then it can go up, not through here. Yeah, can't go through here. So it needs to go through here. Which means that needs to happen. So this comes down that way. Connect! Take that and take that. Probably. Probably. Unless this is red. Yeah, all that's left is these two squares. Like, one of them needs to connect to red, one of them needs to connect to pink. Is this the easy way? Oh, this is interesting. This here means that can't extend across. So this has to extend across this way. That can't go up. So this needs to be a fourth thing? Which has got to be this. So this does go to there. All right. Came together in the end. All right. I'm maybe starting to figure Loopy out at this very late stage in the game. That all came together decently. Oh, hello. All right, yeah, sure. Let's talk to this little boy. Boxy and mismatch. I don't want to do this. There's not enough information on that board. I am going to stay away from that for a little bit longer, I think. What about you? Also boxy mismatch. Ugh. Ugh. Wait, mismatch is everything? All regions must have different shapes. Interesting. Whoa, I hate that. Yeah, I hate that. We'll do that later. What about you? It's compasses. Okay. Compasses in solitude is very interesting. Each region contains a single symbol. So that means each cell needs to belong to a region that contains a symbol. So there is, maybe the biggest question is, some cells can legally only belong to a couple of compasses here. Like this cell here, right? It can belong to this compass. And I think it can belong to this compass as well. 1, 2, it'll go out to here and then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So that is legal for the 6. But it can't belong to this one. Can't belong to this one or this one. Can't belong to any of the others, I think. Yeah, can't belong to any of the others. So it's either this or this. Same thing with this corner. Like, it could easily belong to this one. Can't belong to this one or this one. Could belong to this one, interestingly. Could actually belong to this one, too, right? This could go all the way across. Which is kind of gross. Both of these with no restrictions up and right could get all the way to that corner if you want to. Can't be the 4-5? Yes, it cannot be the 4-5. I agree. It can be this 3-6, or it could be the 4-3 in the corner. It cannot belong to the 0-4. Oh, this one? Yeah, it could belong to the 0-4. That's gross. That's even more gross. 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah? Extra gross. Alright, so where do we start from here? This is limited. Those violate other rules? Nah. You just have to wind it around differently. Yes, I am positive that eventually it will violate another rule, because I don't think it belongs to that compass. But, you know, that's just vibes. I don't have proof. You're hinting me to start at the 6-3. Wow, brutal. Oh, that is actually a good place to start. You're not wrong. This also requires a certain amount of space that is fairly limited. But yes, 6 of these 7 need to belong to this one. Exactly 6 of these 7. Which means that one definitely. Isn't this a level 2 dungeon map from Zelda 1? Yeah, I mean, those maps were very clearly inspired by certain things, so... No more than 3 past this line for this compass. Well, exactly 3 past that line. One of them was a crescent moon. Yeah, I don't remember which one either. One of them was Ganon's face. One of them was a Triforce. What's up, Kellerman? How's it going? Problem with this is it can't take all of this space. So I think it can't fill this space unless it's also filling both of these. If it's filling this space, it has to fill the rest of it. And that's 3 up here. So then it needs to do something like this, for example. Is that illegal? You just do that. Workday done. Time for a brekkie wrap and a donut. Sick. So this man knows how to relax. With 0 down and 4 right, it actually has to take something up here, doesn't it? Oh my god. This does have to wind all the way around and take at least something in this upper area. Is sick back in? I don't think so. It's just something that I say. I know I'm old. I'm okay with it. No idea what the kids these days say or do. I know one thing that the kids these days say or do, and I'm unhappy about it. Yes, exactly. The random number nonsense. You're happy about all their slang? I'm happy about a lot of their slang. I mean, it's not like we don't have our own random number nonsense, so... They are living their best lives. That's very true. They definitely have their own culture, which is good. They deserve it. They deserve any happiness they can find in this bleak world we live in. Okay, so how does this get all the way up to at least here in order to find its fourth cell to the right? It has to get up to here at minimum. So it really does have to chain its way through here. In a way that doesn't cut off the other compasses from filling out their things. You blame the boomers? Yeah, I think that's reasonable. You could definitely blame the boomers. That's on us for not systematically slaughtering our forebears. That's true. If we had just engaged in Children of the Corn style genocide, none of this would have happened. Should be a place here that makes sandwiches with fried donuts as the bread. Oh my god. I think I've actually seen that before. I don't think I've had it because it feels like a great way to have a heart attack. Like, I would rather my arteries continue to flow. But it does sound appealing maybe once. I don't think you could have it more than once. Klingons murdered their gods millennia ago. Klingons had the right idea. You eat pretty much anything once. Yeah, exactly. What's up, Garrett? Do we think it has to be all of these? Would be a little bit difficult to take, for example, not one of the center ones. Because then it would have to have that be included in one of the other compasses. So this would have to go around that other compass who is taking that not center one. Right? It would have to go all the way around this one, for example. In some particularly disgusting way. And still allow this more freedom to take additional cells. Which, I'm gonna guess that's not happening. So this seems likely. Is there a way for it to wrap around this and still give this the 6 that it needs? You have to wrap around, like, here. 1, 2, 3, 4. No, I don't think there is. Okay. Nothing else is going left here. This is going left. This needs 3 left, but that's a lot of opportunity here. That's pretty open. Place near you used to do that, but went out of business because people are scum. That is, not necessarily the correlation I would have drawn. Is it? Jim, I'm being questioned. How dare you question me? Don't you know who I am? I suppose that might be why you're questioning me. I'm still concerned about this idiot. I guess it has to work its way up through here somehow. You do not. All right, fair enough. So this has to go through here and then up. So through here. And then up again. Maybe not through here, because this needs a bunch of this space. So maybe it goes around? Vibe questioning is legit with vibe solving. Who's vibe solving? Never met her. I guess if this goes up through here, it could just take one or two of these, and then this can go up and further around. No, because if this starts going up, then it runs out of the 4 very quickly. In fact, no more than 4 of its 6 can be above this line. So it has to take some down here, which means this cannot go up through here. So this has to go up and around that way. Cool. At least 2 of the 6 needs to be down here, so we can fill that in. All right, so this does need to take this for sure. Unclear whether or not it needs to take this one as well. It might. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This can reach it technically. But that leaves a bunch of other cells out here untaken. This situation means this has to do 1, 2. So this has to come out to here. 2, 3, 4, 5, which fully resolves this compass. So it cannot get any more there. Might go up. Needs to go up? What about needs to go up, but might go up? That's walled. So for this to grab at 6, needs to come down here. That's 3 of the 6. 4, 5, 6. That's not going to fly. So this needs to grab all of this, which means it's grabbing these. 2, 3, 4, 5 is 6. And that's 1 of the 3. 2, 3 of the 3. So now this is sealed off, so that needs to go there, and that needs to go there. And that is the 6 and the 3. It cannot go up anymore, so that's done. This is done. This is... anything can happen here. That's still unclear. What does this connect to, then? You connect to anything? Depends on where this goes, I guess. If this goes here... this is now grabbing 4 of these. And is fully resolved. Now that you stopped pestering me, I'm making progress. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Do I have a mirror handy? What are you implying, sir? I'm not the incarnation of vibe solving. Merely its profit. Like, I kind of think I want to take 1 of my 6 down here. But that means I can only take 3 more up here. So it also needs to take a 4 here. This space is a little concerning, because it could equally be filled in by either of these with no problems. Which means it probably needs to be filled in by the orange. I like to think of it as chat building my rage meter. Yes, once I am pestered enough, I can use my limit break to actually start solving puzzles. This definitely has to go up through at least this space. There is no question. Well, one of these two spaces for sure. Maybe not both. I guess it could be here and then nothing else. But then this still needs to get through, right? So this is going to need to go through this spot at least. Which means this is definitely going to need to go through this spot regardless of whether it takes this spot. Am I at the point where I can start thinking about how much space is left and how it needs to be allocated? Maybe. Because of these 7, 4 needs to belong to this. That leaves 3 here. Four, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So 3 here, plus 3 is 6. So of these 6, 4 need to belong to this compass, leaving 2. Plus 6 is 8. This actually has a lot of freedom there. So no, this isn't that strict in terms of how much stuff is being taken up by a certain space. I guess this needs to go deep enough past here that it's taking up four here. This can't take up all of this space though. So it seems like this blue has to go all the way above into here, most likely. And then this takes this or something, I don't know. And then there's also the space that needs to be taken up by the compass leading into that space, right? So even if we call, like, you know, 6 free in these spots, leaving 2 open after it gets taken up by blue, blue still needs to be getting into there. So it's not like this is 8 free. This is now at most 7 free because blue needs to get in. But that's still a lot free for the orange to grab its remaining, what, 3 more? Yeah. All right, we have been going for a while, though. We've been going for about 2 hours, which means this is about the right point for my usual stream break. So I'm going to do that. We're going to take a break here. Crazy dance. I actually don't remember that one, but I believe you. I believe you that it is a jam. All right, what are we doing here? What is the plan? Am I at the point where I can just start filling stuff in and seeing where it doesn't work and then do it differently if it doesn't work? Because, like, this filling in like this makes complete sense. And then if this comes in through here... Find me the right color. Thank you. It now needs 4 here, which would be like that. This needs 4 like that. And then 1, 2, 3, 4. So this has to come through here. 5. And then this still needs 4 up top, which is these 4. So this has to connect through here. And then 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, all right. All right. Once you get to the end, it's like, okay, well, there's only so many ways for this to work. There's only so much room left for this to connect, so it has to work in a given way. And this is a way. in which it works. Got him. Useful break. Yeah, right? Come back with fresh eyes and just like, hey, actually, what if I just solved the puzzle? Had you considered me simply solving the puzzle? I had not previously considered, but it was a good consideration. All right, should we take a look at some of these mismatches? Because they're honestly horrifying. But we can start. We can start taking a look at these and seeing what happens. So the fascinating thing about Boxy and Mismatch is there is exactly one single tile. Say here, for example. There's exactly one 2 tile. Say here, for example. There is exactly one 3. Just, you know, for the sake of argument, it's there. Exactly one 4. Which means we're a little concerned over here now. Because the next step is, well, there can be a vertical 4. So there are 2 4s, but only one O. So this could be a 2 here, and then this could be like the 6 instead. This feels like a 9. And then this has to be some amount of space taking up. Maybe this is an 8. Maybe this is a 10. Maybe this is just vertical. Now this has to be... Maybe this could be a 12 or something like that. Yo, Nell, how's it going? Welcome. How's it going? How are you? What are you up to? How is life? This is actually just a little bit more awkward because it doesn't just solve itself, which is very unfortunate. But a lot of this feels decently correct. Oh, I think this is a 4? I don't think it's a 4. Were you also playing more Artisan of Glimmith? This does seem to be a game that continues to catch my interest. Managed to perfect 9 out of 10 windows. Ooh, all right. You're going to be in the secluded garden sooner rather than later. Place is a mess, let me tell you. It's enjoyable for sure, but there's a lot going on here for sure, for sure. For example, this particular piece of garbage. Yeah, this game is really good, Senna. I think you'd really enjoy it. Did you ever end up picking up Islands of Insight? Because I think you'd enjoy that too. I think that would very much fit the desire for variety within the game. Still have 2 puzzles left. The one you're working on intimidates you. That's fair. 6, 8. This has to be like a 9 or a 12. And this can be enormous. And then this has to be not an 8. Problems. But if this could be a 10, then this is also a 10. That's also a problems. Oh, Isles of Sea and Sky was really good. I had a really good time with that. There's a little bit of... Isles of Sea and Sky is really interesting because it is very much a precision Sokoban game where there is only one solution and you kind of very carefully have to navigate through the box pushing aspects of it in order to get through it. But also, some of the puzzles can be left for later and come back to. And if you come back to them with the right power-ups, there's new solutions that are easier. So it's not like it trivializes them, but there is very much this Metroidvania sense of like, oh, I've gotten a power-up. I can go back and do things that were hard before, and now I can do them easier. And that's super cool to see in a puzzle game. Yeah, it's not something that I've seen very often before, so I really, really appreciated that. What are we doing over here? Is this stuff wrong? It might be that this is the stuff that's wrong, right? Instead of a 2 and whatever here, this could be like a 2 and a 4. And then this could be the 3. Oh, but then I need to, the 4, but then I need to do something super weird here, right? If this is the 2 and the 4, then this is odd because I'm definitely using this space as a 3x3. bit like Void Stranger. Maybe. I haven't played Void Stranger. I feel like I should. There was an ILOC and Skies update since I last played it. I believe that, actually. I think there is a DLC for it. This is now 10, much like this is a 10. Or a 6. Yeah, I think this just makes it harder. So I think we want... I think this very much wants to be like 2-5 there. We could put the 8 here. But if we put the 8 there, we can't put the 8 here. And also we have used the 4 and the 6. If we don't put the 8 here, then it needs to be a 12 and a 10. And then we can put the 8 here. But now this is another 10, which is awkward. And I also can't turn it into 5s because I've already used the 5s as well. Is there a different way to do this? Void Stranger is probably your favorite of the puzzles within puzzle genre. That's cool. All right. Tezel. I haven't heard of that one. Yeah, the new Deltarune chapter is for sure exciting. I don't know what Mermaid Mask is either. Oh my god, there's so much to look up. Okay, I have to look up all of this and wishlist every single one of them probably. But yeah, Void Stranger I know about and am excited about and have not gotten to ever. But Tezel and Mermaid Mask I am not familiar with, and those will definitely be added to the wishlist. So if this doesn't work, what does that mean for me? I can't have another 3, unfortunately. And this definitely needs to be the 3 here. Because I am presumably using the 1 and the 2 elsewhere. Am I? Hold. One of these two need to be the O. That is for sure. So the O is taken up by one of these two hands. If I do 1 and 2 here, I could do the 3 here. If this is not the 1, then this needs to be the 2. So I can't use 1 and 2 here. This does have to be the 3. Yeah, either I'm using both 1 and 2 over here. Okay, if I am using 1 and 2 elsewhere, it doesn't work. Because this needs either the 1 or the 2 in order to resolve. So given that I'm doing this, this is almost assuredly the 3x3. Difficult to imagine a way in which this is not the 3x3. I guess it could be the 6 here, and then this could be a line, and then this could be like the 5. It's not impossible. I don't know. You should raid and run. All right, fair enough. Yeah, I'm looking forward to the rest of your progress now. Thank you for the raid, very much appreciated. All right, so what I was doing before was the 2x3 over here, but maybe that's wrong, and it's actually the 2x4, which is a little bit troublesome because I feel like one of these has to be the O, but then what do I do in the other place if I've used up the 2? I don't think I can do that. I don't think I can use the 2 here. So this has to be the 6, so that we can use the 2 in one of these places. Maybe the 2 is here, and this ends up being like a 12 or something. Because if we're using the 2x3 and the 3x3, this would have to be a 4x3. Or a 5x3 or something. But that leaves problems here. I guess the other way to do it is have this be long and have this be long. But it really feels like this needs to be long in some way or another. Unless I want to do, well, unless I want to do something like this. But that is extra problems. I think this needs to be long. Still doesn't solve the 2x3s. It's true. It's true. Or 3x3s or whatever. Yes, I agree. Because I can't do that. Nor can I do that. Nor can I do that. So this is not a valid setup, which means we're back to doing this, which kind of didn't end up working for me last time. Right? Because now this is a problem there, but if I do this, then these two overlap. How much is this? 8. This could be a 7. These are both 10s. I was wondering if it could be like a 7 and a 5, but I'm using the 5 over here also, so that really doesn't work. Well, this 3 I am comfortable with. And this 4 I'm pretty convinced of. This 1 I am pretty convinced of. And the 2 is here in some way. So this 6 I am pretty convinced of. Everything else, I guess, is something we have not determined one way or the other. If this is the 2x3, then we can't wall here. Which means we have to connect here, which means it has to take this space up. And this has to go at least down to here. This can't be... the 2x3 and 2x3 here is definitely also annoying. Because, like, I want this to just take up more space, and I can't if I'm using 2x3s. What can I do here instead of the 2x3? What can I do here instead of the 3x3? This very much doesn't work. Could this be a 4? Does that help me? Not especially. I have 8, 10. So now this can't be an 8. Or a 6. That's a 10, which overlaps. Could be a 12, but that leaves a 10 up here, which I can't do anything with. Yeah, 10 and 10 doesn't work. It's so close, though. Because then it could be 5 and 7. Oh, but then the 5s overlap. So even if it did work, it didn't work. So how else does this piece together? If we start like this. Yeah, I don't know how this resolves without being long. I think this has to be long. I don't know how long it has to be, but I think it has to be long. Is there any way to be conclusive about the shapes that I have left? Can this be anything besides a 3x3? If I'm using the 2x3 here, this can't be a 2x3. We already know it can't be a 1x3. So that leaves only 3x3 for this vertical space? I think that leaves only 3x3 for this vertical space, assuming that this is correct. Which is an assumption that I am making based off of needing a 2 over here or over here. It is possible that I use the 2 over here, right? And then I have the O over here, and then we do something else with this space. And then this ends up being not a 2x3, but maybe a 2x4 or a 2x5. Or a 2x6. Or 7. 2x4 feels right. Then this can be a 2x5. This can be long. This can be a 5. But then I'm stuck over here. Like, if this is a 2x4, what do I do with this space? This is real limiting if I do this. Like, this specifically is very, very limiting. Because I don't have access to a 3 anymore. Or a 4. Or any multiples of 3, unless I go up to 4x3, which there isn't the space for here. And then there's also this problem. This is a logistical nightmare. Feels like this has to be the 4. But maybe this is the 2 like this. And then what? Because this can't be a 3. And if it's a 4, that makes this space mega awkward. So we're still on this, I think. This is an 8. This is the 10. So this has to be the 12. But then what do I do here? How do I clear up this space if this isn't how I'm doing it? Maybe I can do... This can't be a 5. 6? 7? They can't both be 10s. This is a 4, what happens? That doesn't work either. Okay, if this isn't the 3, then it's this. It's the 1 and the 8. Which means I don't have a 1 over here, so I have to have the 2. Now this has to fill up something here. Maybe it goes all the way. Maybe it stops there. And then we use the 3 here. And then if I use the 4 here, I can now do the 9. This can be long. This can be something. What? Oh, those are both 8s. That works. 10, 12. This can be the 2x3 now. I already used the 1x2. Oh, here and here. Yeah. Yeah. Because I do need the 2 up here somewhere, don't I? Is there any way to get away with not using the 1x2 in either of these corners? Because if this isn't the 1, this has to be the 2. So is there a way to do this without using the 2 at all? Not without not using the 1. But then again, maybe we could use the 1 somehow? I don't know how we use the 1 in order to make that work, though. Like, that still requires... Yeah, the 1 doesn't change anything. Okay. My time of boxing madness. True. So many problems here. Alright, I guess the other question, the other assumption that I've been making is that we need to use the 2x2 for one of the hands. Which isn't necessarily true. Starman here could potentially be using other shapes in these regions. The question is which? Right? If we use like a 2 and a 4 or a 2 and a 5. What else could we use for these besides a 2 and a thing? And I really think it is only the O. Unless this can be the 2 and the 4, or this can be the 2 and the other thing. Or this can be the O. But the O here makes this really awkward setup. Because then we have to do exactly this. So the 2 is definitely getting used up here. That's the important part about this. The 2 is definitely getting used up here. This can't be a 2. So this has to be a 1. I'm pretty convinced that 1, 3, 2, and 4, 2 and O, is accounted for. Which means this can't be a 2. This can't be a 4. Can be a 6. Can't be a 3. So this has to be the 6 in that situation. This can't be a 3. And now can't be a 6. So must be the 9? It must be the 9. This all feels like it must necessarily flow together. And then we have to have O in one of these, and then 2 and something in the other of these. So where else do we go from here? This can't extend this way, because that's an O. So this has to be vertical. Which means this has to be this. Unless this extends... Now the question is, how far does this go up? Does this just go up all the way? Does it have to? What makes the most sense in this situation is this is the 10. This is a 2, a 5, and an 8. And then how do we work with the rest of the situation? Like, 6, 8, and 10 are now taken, which leaves 12 plus, and nothing else. So this could be a 12, but then this is a 10, which doesn't work. This could otherwise be 6? 6 and 4? But that leaves... this could be 6 and 4 this way. And then this could be the 12. Oh my god, did I find it? Oh, alright, alright. came together. Man, we were in this situation so many times, and it just didn't occur to me that I could use 6 and 4 instead of doing the full 2 by whatever. How many times has that happened? I feel like that happens a lot of times. Like, I'll get to a position where it's like, I have the solution within 2 or 3 moves, and I don't see the moves that can make it. So it's like, oh no, something is wrong, and just wipe the whole thing and start over from scratch, doing the exact same things that I've already been doing. More times than I like, for sure. Well, that's good progress. Should we do the other boxy one then? This one worked out quote-unquote fine. We could do this, I suppose. So this has an interesting problem wherein there are 3 places that want a 4x1. They could be divided 1 and 3. They could be divided 2 and 2, because this can be a bigger 2. Right? If it's divided like that, this can just come up, for example. And they could just be an actual 4. But if this is the 3, what do we do here? Can't be a 1 and a 2. Only one of these can use a 1. How's that rock feel, Sisyphus? It's true. It's true. Not wrong. Boxy mismatch is such a messy set of rules. Maybe this can be a 1, and then we can use 2, and then a 3 and a long, and a 4 for the remaining? Because this could be like that, right? And then we could have like a 3 and a long. This could be the 2x8. This could be the 4. I don't know that I like that being the 4. Because now we need a 4 here, right? We're in the same situation, yet another place. And I don't have the 1, or the 2, or the 3, or the 4? So what else can we do? Maybe this just can't do this thing here? And this needs to be like the 5? That sure seems like it would work. And then we have to do the 3 and a long somewhere else. This could be 2 and 2. And then this could be the O. Yeah, this still works so far. But now we also need a long here. Ugh. Yeah, I've used the 2. 1, 2. I haven't used the 3 yet. But I have used the 4 and the 5. Okay. So we have this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So between these, we need to use the 1, the 2, the 3, the 4, the 5, and the 6, I guess, right? Because all of them need to be need to extend out in a boxy way. So which of these can be the 6? This could, in theory, be the 6. Or this could be the 6. 4, 5, 6. But one of these needs to be the 6 or the 5, or longer, even. They could just be longer. But that means we need the 3 here and the 4 here. Not necessarily. This could be 1 and something here. But if this needs to be the 5 or the 6, it needs to extend across here. Which means this is either 1 and 2, or it's just the 4. And I don't think there's room for this to be 1 and 2. Because we need to use 1 through 4 for these smaller ones. Yeah. So this needs to be the 4. Locking this in as the 4. These two are both 5+. But if I use the 4 here, I now have 1, 2, and 3 left over for the remaining spaces. Which I kind of like this being the 1, this being the 2, and this being the 3. And then this ends up being the 5 here, because this extends out. And then we'll have the 6 here, so this needs to be longer. But now we have a 2x3 here, a whatever this is, and a 3x4 here. This could be 8x2. This is 5x4. This is 5x5. We haven't used a 10 yet. And this is another 5x4. So how do I divide this up to not overlap? I've used a 5 here. So it can't be 3x5, which I haven't used. But given that I've used 5x4 here, is there a way to split this up? It can't be like that. Oh, I already have 2 10s. Oh no, this is already a problem. Okay. So this already doesn't work. I haven't used the O yet, which is intriguing. Maybe there is room for an O. Use the 2x3, use the 2x4. One of these can be a 2x5. Yeah, both of these being the 2x10 doesn't work. So we might have to mix that up a little bit. This slots in really well with the 3. Seven, 5. Yeah, both of these being 2x5 doesn't work. I guess if this is an O, this could be the 4? We've already used the 4. That's over here. Have we used a 6? This is a 7. This is a 6. Yep. That's an O. Yeah, we can't fit another 2x3 because I've already used a 2x3 over here. So this is kind of... Everything else lines up, but 2x5 and 4x5 are now both overcommitted. So we'd have to figure out a way to make that actually line up, given that I have used all of the 1 width up through 7. 1x1, 2x1, 3x1, etc., all the way up to 7. I don't have a 3x3, so maybe this could be the 4x3? Maybe one of these could be the 4x3? And that leaves another 2x4, which I've already used. In addition to not solving my 2x5 problems. Anywhere else where the single width could be extended the way that this was. Haven't done a 4x4 yet. Do a 4x4 here and extend this. Turn this into a 3. This is walled off in a weird way here. Interesting. Okay, so the other thing is... Oh, maybe this could be the 1 here, and then a 3x3 and an O? And then what? Two by 4 is already used, as is the 3. 2x3 is already used. 1, 3. This would need to be the 2. 5's already used, so that doesn't work either. 1, 3, 4. Be the 2. Doesn't seem like it works. This is maybe even messier than what I previously had. It does let me do this, except for not exactly. Now those two are the same. This is where I was. Alright, that's not coming together. I feel like this is going to require the same kind of shenanigans that I did previously. Like, the way that it needed a 4 and a 6 in order to allow one of them to be one bigger. If I do this, and then have this be the 3, what does that mean for me here? This is now another 2x5. Gross. Which of these could be the O? That's the other question. This is 4x3. What happens over here? This is extra messy. This could be the O. And then this ends up being what over here? Because I'm kind of thinking maybe this is the O, and then this just does this. But now we need another combination to make 4. Which, if I use 3 and 1, absolutely is not okay. And the 4 is already used up down here. And I can't have this be just a 2x3 here. Nor can I have this just be a 3. This still works, though. 3, 6, and then the 9 instead of the 12. And if this is a 3, this has to be either a 1 or a 2. So let's say this is the 1 with a 2x5. But now I have a 2x4 available. Which I can put here, I guess? Which doesn't help, actually. Where can I put the 2x4 now? Could this be the 2x4? Not and be the 3? It would need this to be the 3, which doesn't work. The 2x3 is over here. Maybe this is the 2x4, and this is actually a 5. So that leaves me with a 2x3 here. And then, like, I could do this, I guess. But then this needs to be the 3, which means what am I doing over here? If that's a 1 and a 2, what am I doing up here? Big problems. Really? Oh, okay. How do I resolve this? How can I steal enough space? This is a 6 and this is a 5, so I've already got a 5. Which means I can't turn this into a 4. I have access to a 2 and a 1. I have not yet done my 2x5. So that could be a 2x5 and the 2. So then this is a 1 and problematic. Okay. Further rewind to before any vibes were committed. These two are both at least 5s. All of these are minimum 2x2s. We have to have the 1, 2, and 3 in these remaining spaces. And we have to have the 2x2, 3, 4, or 5 for each of these 4 spaces, which leaves one 2x free for somewhere else in the puzzle. This one is too short for the 5, so one of these can be a 2x5. Exactly one of these can be a 2x5. If this is it, then we're using the 1 and the 1x5, which means this has to be a 6 or 7. And now we have 2x2, 2x4. 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah. We have 2x2 and 2x4 left. So the easiest one to use the 3 on is here. So we'll make that a 2x4. And then this is going to be a 2x2, which we can then fill in other things differently. Nope. This needs to be a 2, huh? This really wants to be the 5. So maybe this is the 2x2? And then what do we do with this space, given that this is a 1? 2, 3, 4, and 5. One of these is a 5. The others are 2x2, 2x3, and 2x4. This can only be 2x2 or 2x3. Because this has to extend here, because I think this has to be the 5. One, 2, and 3. This one makes the most sense to be the 3, because we can do the 6 here. So pretty easy for this to be the 2x4, actually. So we have the 3 and 4, and then this is a 2 and a 5. So which of these is easy to fill the remaining space? This could be the 2 and the 5. Which means this is the 1 and whatever else I am doing here. Which, unclear what I am doing here. Because now I need another 2 by X in order to fill this space, which doesn't work. So this can't be the 1, actually. This just can never be the 1 here. This has to be either the 2 or the 3. Maybe this is the 5 and this is the 1? So this is the 3 and this is the 2? Nope. This could work, though. This and this. No. 3 is used, the 4 is used, the 5 is used. So I can't have another 2 here. Yeah, this can never be the 2, and this can never be the 1. So this is either the 3 or the 1. I don't really like any of those options. If this is the 1, then this has to be the 3 and this has to be the 2. This being the 2 is extra awkward, though. Not impossible, I don't think. Maybe impossible. All right, back to square one. Is it accurate to say that this can never be the 2? Because then this has to be a 5. Which it can't be. Yeah, this can never be the 2. It can never, like, partially extend into the space, right? This can't be the 2 either. Which means this has to be the 2. This just has to be the 2. So now we have the 1 and the 3 in some organization here. If this is the 2, this has to be the 2x5. This has more space, though. So this can be the 3 and the 2x8. This can be the 1 and fill in this with a 3x3, and it can be the 2x2. So this can be the 2x3, which I'm still missing. And then this space is covered. Barely. And now we have 2 4x5s. But everything else works. So how do I split up 2 4x5s? I have used a 5. Out of the puzzle games I've played over the last year, what normal game would I like to see a crossover with? Not like a DLC, but like a game comprised of the 2 mashed together. Oh. I think there is a lot of room to do a, I think there is some room to do a puzzle or Metroidvania with some of the puzzle mechanics of the puzzle games that I've played. I'm not sure if that ends up looking like Isle of Sea and Sky. But I think you could legitimately have, like, action platformer, and then certain sections are pure puzzle, and the 2 are... So, some way for the 2 to integrate, I think would be really cool. Like, I think you could potentially do something like, So there's a game that I haven't played, but I think is very neat, called Paper Trail, which involves moving sections of the board around in order to create a path for you to walk through. Like, it's, you know, the walking is isometric, but then the actual game mechanic is you have to move the platforms around. What was the game that wasn't Isle of Sea and Sky? Paper Trail. Yeah, it's a game that I saw earlier and never got the chance to pick up and play. So I feel like you could do a very cool, like, actual Metroidvania style action platformer with Paper Trail world manipulation mechanics, as opposed to the world manipulation being just a pure puzzler on its own. I think that would be really cool. What am I doing here? I have used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's not a room for 6. So I can't use a 1 by anything. 2 by X, I've used 2, 3, 4, 5. And 2 by 6 is too long. 3s, I've used 3 by 3 and 3 by 5. But not 3 by 4. Not that that helps, because I don't have a 2 by 4. What got you thinking about it was like Islands of Insight and Talos Principle and Witness and Cauldron. Ooh, okay. Yeah, sure. Honestly, the other cool thing that would work is like Blueprints mashed up with something that is more action-y. I think would be very cool. Although, the Tunic Randomizer has a Blueprints mode, which I think is really neat. So if you haven't checked that out, you could. It's a take on the Entrance Randomizer. Whenever you go through an entrance, you get to choose which of 3 locations you are actually entering into. Yeah, Cauldron is already two sort of mashups. Yeah, I agree. Is there a way to split up a 4x5 and still retain boxy? 3x5's already been used. 3x4 hasn't been used, but 2x4 has. Maybe there is another way to take up some more or less of this space? Oh, yeah, here it is. We use the 5 here, the 2x4 here, extend this through to cover it. Now we have the 2x3, and this is a 4x4, which means 5x4 is still available. Yo. Heck yeah. I did it! It's gold! Fantastic. Get particled. How much time do we have left? We got about an hour left in stream time. Want to hit another 7? Gross. That's less gross. Mingle shape and precision 5. Love that. This is the one that we're not touching, because I hate it. What else do we have available? Huh? How do I feel about this? Broadly intrigued, I think. Oh, it's got boxy. A little bit less intrigued now. Which was the gross one? This is a gross one. There were a couple of other gross ones also. Choosing which one to solve last. Kinda. Are there any I'm missing? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Hello? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Really? We're missing one. Where is the one we're missing? There's one under the bridge. No, I know about this one. I'm counting that one. I can see the light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We're still missing one. Unless there's 2 under here. Is it the one way at the back? Define way at the back. Six, 7, 8. Behind the tree. Oh, there's another one back here. Oh, yeah. Okay, I didn't even know that was there. Okay, yep. Well, let's see what that looks like. That's sneaky. Well, I mean, sure. 3 to 6. Size separation. Size separation is neat. Neither of these can enter this spot. Neither of these can enter this spot. Where else? These are all separated. These two can't touch either of these spots? Oh, that's tricky. Which means this has to do like that. Because there's no... Well, it has to do either that or that, right? So it has to take these 3 for sure. And this one, if it can't touch either of these 2, has to go out here. And then either go up or down. How many Almanos are in this one? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. 20 Almanos. How much space are they taking up? Definitely not 150. 13. 13 by 13? 13 by 13. 169. Nice. If it's 20 by 6, that's still not 13 by 13. And they're definitely not all 6s. So there is a lot of space that is not taken up by polyominoes. Good. This can't go vertical, has to go horizontal. This can't be like that. And can't be... Oh, it can be like that. But can't go down and can't go up. So it's these 2 for sure. And then either that or that. But those 2 for sure. Size separation is neat. This, at this point, can't go up, because that would leave not enough space, so it has to go down. And neither of these can be 5s. And this can't be a 3. Could still be a 6, though. 6 and a 4. I already have a contradiction? In what way? Because if so, I don't see it. The cyan F pentomino, this one. These 2 can overlap. These 2 can both be in the same region. They don't have to be mismatched. That's probably what I have to do. But this is good to double check. Like, yeah, it can't poke out left or right. It can't be horizontal. There's just, with the other squares, yeah, there's nowhere to place it. So these 2 have to be part of the same region. Which means we now have any of these 4 corners and the opposite middle. Now this has a bunch of freedom in terms of where it's going. Can't do that, though. Can't do that either, because this then runs afoul of it. Actually, it can. Because that would work. Where does this fit in now? Can it do that? It can, actually. It could also go up and left. Let's see where this fits. Can't go left and can't go right here because that would leave this not enough room. And same at the bottom. It can't go to the point where it's touching that. So this can't be the chupchik, you know, the part of the T coming out from the side. We could do this. I think this has to be part of the 4, and it has to be horizontal. So it has to be these 3. And then it's either up and right, or it's left, or it's right. Because there's no room on the other end to put the sideways piece. But any of that is available. What about you? Well, now we know that if it goes down, it can't go right. Which is pretty restrictive, actually. If this goes here, how does this get placed? Can this get placed at that point? Yes. We could do that. In fact, this seems like the most likely setup anyway. Does that leave anywhere this can go? Because now this can't go right. In addition to other places it can't go. That's really restrictive, actually. I think this doesn't work. Because this really feels like it wants to be doing this. Oh, that still doesn't work. That also doesn't work. Wait a minute. So I guess we're looking at something like that? No, no, no. Lots of no happening here. Can this be the sideways piece? I guess that would mean we're doing this and then trying to hit one of these, which doesn't work. Or this. Which doesn't seem like there's a way to get this placed if we do this. Eh. Where else can this go? It has kind of these 8, I guess 9. These 9 squares that it can be in. 10, maybe. No, if it comes down to here, it would have to go to this spot. So that's not going to work. Because if it comes down to here, this is the 3. Then it can't go right or left. Okay, yeah, so it can't go that far. It can't go to here. So now it's got 7 spaces that it can be in. 7, 8 spaces that it can be in. So that feels like the only way this works. And then this works here, and then this can go there, except this doesn't work here. Then this doesn't work at all. These two, I think, have to combine also. I think these might need to be the same shape. Because there's no way for this to fit in this space without cutting off the 3. even with the F as conservatively placed as possible. Now we can still do this, except not that way. We have to do it like this, because that works. What about you? Can't go there. But that's about the only restriction. This is pretty free otherwise. I guess can't go here, right? There's still a lot of room for the bucket, though. Well, that one doesn't work because of the trapped space. So it can't be in these 6 alone. It could do this. Can't be in these 6 alone either. So that's actually pretty restrictive. That leaves these 6 and these 6. Which means this is guaranteed. And then it either goes left and up or it goes down and then to the right here. Oh, it can't do that either. So it actually has to go here. There's nowhere else this can go? Interesting. Yeah, it has to go here. There's nowhere else it can go. Which means this has to do exactly this. Which means this has to do exactly that. Oh, except it can't. What? Hold. Hold. There seems to be a problem here. Oh, this could totally do this. And then this just fills in that spot. No matter what way this goes up from this setup, this has to be here. Which means this has to take that. This has to go at least that much. This has to be either a 3 or a 6. Because it is touching both a 5 and a 4. This can't go up and left. It might be able to go up and right. So this either needs to go up and right, or it needs to take one of these 2 slots. That's pretty flexible, actually. That's a lot of room. This doesn't take either of those, and it either goes left and right, or it goes left and right. What does this mean? This means that this has to do this, which leaves 2 blocked off, which doesn't work. And the only other way I can think of placing it is this. Yeah, 3 vertically here touches. 3 vertically here we've identified as a problem. It can't go 3 horizontally. If it's the side piece as opposed to the end piece, it can't go 3 there, or 3 there, or 3 there. It has to be 3 here, which can then do either of these, except it can't do that one because it can't touch here. And if this is the end piece, it can't go up, it can't go left or right, can't go left, can't go right. Yeah, this is the only valid configuration for this, which means this has to be this way. Which means this has to come down, and this is a 4. Might be able to figure this out now. If this connects there, this has to go 3, except it can't be a 3, so it has to go 4. Can't go 5. Can't go 6. Have to be exactly 4, which means this has to take that, and this can't be a 3, or a 4, or a 5. Has to be a 6. Can't go right. Has to go up or down. It's viable. That seems valid. What if this takes this? Now this has to come up, and this has to come down, and they can't be 5s, so they have to be 6s, and this is abandoned. So it can't take that, actually. Can't go up left. Can it go up right? Then this is a 5, so no. Which means it has to do this thing. Progress! Things continue to move forward slightly, a little bit at a time. Which is really all that I'm asking from this kind of puzzle, to be honest. Well, with the information that we've discovered over here, this has to come up here and either go right or left. If it goes left, there's 2 here, one of which can get taken by here, so that doesn't work, so it has to go right. Which means this needs 3, and this goes down here. This can now not go here, because that orphans 2 areas. So definitely goes down to here. Unclear whether it goes left or right at that point. This either goes across here, making this a 3, which doesn't work, so it has to go up or down, which is exactly that. This can't take this, so this has to. And this can't be a 4 either, and it can't be a 5, so it has to be a 6. This can't be a 3 or a 4 or a 5. This also has to be a 6. But there's a lot of room for it to explore, so we'll figure that out later also. This can't be a 3 or a 5. Wait, no. Can't be a 4. Can't be a 5. Can't be a 6. Has to be a 3. Oh, okay. Well then. This has to go either up or down for its 6th. Size separation is fascinating here. If this goes here, what happens with this space up here? 7. So that has to be a 3 and a 4. And the 4 would be here, and the 3 would be here. That is doable. It could also be to the right and leaves all of the rest of the space open to do whatever you want. There could be 6s, there could be 3s and 4s, there could be all kinds of things, just not 5s. No 5s anywhere. Oh, interesting. I think this 3, 4. Oh, this can't go right at all. Never mind. So this has to be a 3 and a 4. Neither of these two can be the 4. So this has to be exactly this. Can this be a 4? It's touching only 5s. So yes, it can be a 4. Or a 6. If it's a 6, it has to go like that. And then this is cut off from 6s here, which means this is abandoned. So this cannot be a 6. So I guess it's just a 4. This is a 3 or a 6. But this needs to be taken up by one of these two. And if this is a 6, neither of them can take this spot. So this has to be a 3. Guess I should also mark that this is a 6. We don't know exactly where that's getting placed. This can be the 3 or a 6. Still pretty open. So this like this or like this, both feel doable. It probably is like that, so that this 6 doesn't have to touch that 6. Could also just go left here, since something needs to take this spot. And then we could do that. Could. Oh. My lack of sleep is catching up with me. Can I power through and finish this puzzle? Maybe. Let's look at this bad boy. Can it be in this 6? No. No. Maybe. Also maybe. If it's here, if it's this 2x3, then this doesn't have a place to finish. So it has to be this 2x3. Because it can't include this spot. And it can't go further left or right. So if it's this 2x3, in fact, it has to be exactly that. 3, 4, 5, 6. Now this can't go up. Can the tail be here? If so, this would have to go that way. And that doesn't work. So no. Can the tail be here? Going up would break that. Going down would put the 3 here and the 4 here. And a 4 here. That would actually work. Possible. Can it be a 2 here? And then 3 that way? 3, 3. Can this be a... Nope. Still no. Because this can't go vertically. It has to go horizontally somehow. So this doesn't work, which means this has to do this. Which puts some limitations on where this goes. Right? I can't seal off 2 spots. Or 1 spot, for that matter. That also seals off 2. That seals off a respectable amount. As does that. No, that can't be a 5. That works, but then this is a 1. So no. Alright, so it just has to be this. I mean, not that. It has to be the one that leaves 3 here. Or 4 here. I guess like this? No. Like this. Yes. This cannot go down here anymore. Because that has to be at least 3. So that means it has to go down here. This has to come up, so that's there. That's 5, which means this has to be like that for a 6. This cannot be a 4 or a 5, so this has to be a 6 also. This 3 cannot be a 4 or a 5, so it's either a 3 or a 6. This cannot be a 6 or a 5, so it's either a 3 or a 4. Alright, so with this, I still like my initial vibe of this coming down here and that coming up there. This needs to be a 6. And if it touches this, this can't be a 6. If it does that, can this be a 6 now? This can't be a 6 like that. So it needs to touch there, and then this can be a 3. And now this can be... that leaves something trapped there, actually. So maybe this does go that way? In fact, this could just be part of this as a 6. Oh, but then these can't. This is now very screwed. But I can't touch that or that. Or these two. Which leaves an impossibility, is what that leaves. And it can't connect to this 6, and it can't connect to this 6. And it can't connect to this 6? Maybe it can connect to this 6. If this 3 goes the other way, this can go there. And then this 3, now we need a 3 here. That's not going to work. No. It does feel like these need to touch. But then what do I do with this spot? Maybe this just goes up and goes that way. If those touch, this can't resolve. Yeah, these can't touch. Which means this probably has to be a 3. I don't think there's a way to make it be a 6. which means that's just locked. Okay. So what do I do with this spot now? Neither of these 6s can take this spot without abandoning stuff. So this has to do this. And then that 6 in the center. Can this be a 6? Maybe this could be a 6. Oh, but then neither of these can be... Yeah, okay, nope, never mind. Neither of them can take this spot is the problem, if that touches. Excuse me? Oh. 4, 5, 6, but then the 6s are touching. So what am I doing here? How do I make this different? What can this 3 be a 6? If this 3 is a 6, how does that change things? That can't touch there. Like, there's a space between 2 6s that neither of the 6s can take. Which I think is not doable. What if this is a 3? Does that change anything for me? I feel like I'm missing something in terms of how the 6 in the center connects to things. Like, I have erroneously sealed off a possibility. Because this can't go left. And it can't touch either of these 2 spots. And if it takes this spot, both of these are abandoned. So it can't take this spot either. So something else has to take this spot. This can't be a 4. Can't be a 5. Can this be a 6? No, because then this spot is untakeable. Something else has to take this spot at that point. Which leaves this without the ability to be a 6. Maybe this just didn't need to be a 6, because this could be... No, this comes up, this comes out, and they connect here. So it's already a 4, so it can't be a 3. It can't be a 4, and it can't be a 5, so this does have to be a 6. One of these needs to go into this spot. One of these needs to go into this spot. You can't be a 5. This almost works. Can this be a 4? This can't be a 4. Because this now is a 6. And there's a 3 here, but this can't be a 4. Sure it can't be a 7. What do I think I've done wrong here? What else can we do differently here? This can connect to the 6, can't it? Oh, no, but that abandons this spot, so no, it can't. Neither of the 6s can take this spot, and nothing else can reach it, so the 3 has to take it. This can't be touched by either of these. It can be by another 3, I guess. So this 4 needs to take it. The space here, I feel like mathematically can't do the thing I need it to do. I think I have the wrong amount of space left. $13. This needs 2. 11 left. This needs maybe 0. This needs 2. 9 left. This needs 1. 8 left. This needs 6. 2 left. Which doesn't satisfy. Something is wrong here. This 6 needs to do this. Which means this needs to be a 3. Which means this needs to be taken up by something that is not this 6. Yeah, that can't be a 4. Nor can it be a 3. Nor can it be a 5. This looks like I made an incorrect placement with something prior to this. Which is a lot to go back and figure out. I guess I could hit the hint button and confirm whether or not I have made a mistake prior to this. Do I regret hiding the check progress button? I mean, it's a setting away. I definitely don't regret hiding it. But this might be a situation during which I need to unhide it. Because if I think that this center situation is impossible, then I have no idea where I went wrong anywhere on the outside, because all of it seemed to follow based on logical progression. And I kind of think the center is impossible. Excuse me? Oh, yes, okay. Oh, that was concerning. Alright, do not hide, check progress. Show me my progress. There is at least one mistake, This is the earliest one. So many mistakes. All following from this not being... Oh, man, that's a lot of stuff to go back to. Okay. It's a lot of rewinding. Because I locked that one in fairly early in this process. So this has to be locked in, so that has to be locked in. Really? No. It can still do that or that. Oh. Okay, so from here, everything is correct. All right. That connects there. And now we have to go through some of the same process that we went through over here. Which, that doesn't work. So needs to do that. That comes out to here, so this needs to do that. Which means that needs to take it. Can't be a 4. Can't be a 5. This... No, 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 no. So only this or this. And if it's in this space, this has to be a 5, which is illegal. So it has to be this. 3. Can just be a 3, actually. But could also be a 4, 5, 6. Oh, can't be a 3. Can be a 4? Nope. Cannot be a 5. Must be a 6. Yep. Does this work? This can't be a 3, now has to be a 2. That doesn't work. That doesn't work. We can't seal off 2. So I think we have to do it like this, right? No, that seals off this one. But we can do that. Or that. No, can't do that. So it has to be like this. Yeah, a lot of this is still similar. But the big deal is this is different. And that is a big deal. This can't go down here. And can't go down here, so it has to do that. That can't be a 5. All right. This is a... can't be a 5 or a 6, so this is a 3 or a 4. This is... cannot be a 3 or a 4 or a 5. Must be a 6. This 4... cannot be a 5. So this is either a 4 or a 6. There are walls here now. This 4 can't be a 4, can't be a 5, must be a 6. And this 3 can be a 3 or a 6. 6 is easy to check. If this is a 6, there are walls here. Which means this goes here and here, which breaks it. So this can't be a 6. This has to be a 3. Which means it is sealed off. Sure. This comes out to here and cannot be a 4 or a 6. So this is either a 3 or a 5. If this is a 6, that means this is sealed off. And it can't go down, so it would have to go there. Now this comes out in a way that is not a 6. How does this get to 6 then? It does not at this point. I think this can't be a 6, but I'm not positive about that yet. This 6, how do you get to 6? Can't touch these two. Can't touch this space. Which means the space needs to be left open for something else to grab. Right? And then this could be like a 5 or something. Can't touch that space. That could go there. Just kind of vibing here. And I don't think that's the best way to approach this, because there's a lot that can go wrong. This can't take this space, because it seals something off no matter what. So it has to do this, which means this 6 cannot take this space, and can go either right or down, but not both. If it goes right, there's nowhere else to go from there, so it has to go up. If it goes right, there's nowhere else to go from there. It has to go up. This has to take at least that space. And then this can stay as a 3. This can stay as a 3. 4, 5, 6. But then nothing can take this spot. If this is a 6, nothing can take this spot. Which means it can't go right, because there's nowhere else for this to expand. So it has to go down, which means this has to take this spot. So this has to be a 5 like that. 3, 4, 5. Can't take that spot. Can take this spot? This can't be a 5, nor a 6. Nope. Maybe this takes that. And then this is a 3. Oh. Oh, thank God. Jeez, that took a lot of work. That took a lot of work. All because I forgot that I could flip this. The rotations, though. Alright, where are we at now? 8 puzzles left in the secluded garden. At least one of which I am annoyed by and don't want to touch. We'll have to at some point, but that some point is not going to be today. Because we are done. Donezo. Where am I now? 700 solved out of like 900 something? There's definitely a bunch of easier puzzles in the other regions that I haven't gone back to that we can do some cleanup, and that'll be fun to go through. But Secluded Garden, definitely my focus for the near future. So, rest of Secluded Garden in upcoming streams, and then we'll have a bunch of easier puzzles to go through and clean up, which will also be fun. That'll be enjoyable.